All right, so today we're really diving into something incredible. Google's Gemini AI. Have you heard about this?
Well, yeah, it's a game changer. It's
Okay.
uh it's really pushing the boundaries of what AI can do.
Yeah, and we're talking multimodal models here, which is a whole other level. And I've got the research paper right here. Gemini, a family of highly capable multimodal models. But honestly, it's dense.
It's a lot to unpack.
It really is. So to make sure we all get the most out of this deep dive, can you maybe start us off with what makes Gemini so special?
It's trained on text, images, audio, and video data right from the start. So unlike most AI models that kind of learn one thing at a time, Gemini is built for multitasking from day one.
So it's not just understanding different types of data, but understanding them all together at the same time.
Exactly. It's like while other models are busy switching between different senses,
Mhm.
like switching between tasks, Gemini's experiencing the world in this richer, more integrated way. And get this, it's not just going for breadth, it's aiming for depth too.
Okay, so it's not just a jack of all trades, it's trying to master them all too.
You got it. It's designed to be really good generally, but also to have this cutting-edge performance in each specific area. And to help with that, they've actually got different sizes of the model, Ultra Pro and Nano, each optimized for different tasks.
So different Geminis for different needs?
Exactly. Think of Gemini Ultra as like the powerhouse for really complex stuff,
Right.
the one smashing benchmarks and outperforming experts in certain areas. Then you've got Gemini Pro, your workhorse model for enhanced performance and scaling things up. And finally, Gemini Nano.
Nano, that one sounds interesting.
Right, this one's really something else. It's surprisingly capable for its size, perfect for running directly on devices like phones and laptops. It doesn't need a ton of processing power.
Hold on. Directly on devices. So you're saying this could change how we interact with AI on our phones and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're relying on the cloud for everything.
Exactly, and that's just the start. There's more to Gemini than just these three models. There are specialized versions fine-tuned for specific tasks, like Gemini apps for conversational AI.
Oh, right. Like that new Bard everyone's calling the ChatGPT killer.
That's the one. And then there's the developer-focused versions, Gemini API, all about giving developers the tools to build their own applications.
Okay, so lots of different flavors of Gemini. But let's dig into what this thing can do. The paper really highlights Gemini's multimodal capabilities, how it handles all this mixed-up data.
This is where it gets really cool. The input and output are so flexible. Imagine feeding it a news article, a related photo, a chart from a PDF, even a short video clip all at once. Gemini can handle that. And unlike some models that treat audio as just clunky text, Gemini processes the raw audio directly.
So we're talking about an AI that understands tone of voice, pauses all those little nuances we pick up on.
Precisely. And the output's just as flexible, text, images, or a combination of both, all generated seamlessly. Figure 2 in the paper gives a good visual of this.
I'm picturing an AI that can make a whole presentation with text images, maybe even some charts, all from a single voice command. Am I getting ahead of myself?
Maybe not as much as you think. The results they're showing are really impressive. It's not perfect, of course, but it's a huge step forward in how AI interacts with the world.
Okay, enough teasing. Let's talk specifics. How good is Gemini really?
Let's start with text. Gemini Pro consistently beats rivals like GPT 3.5 in a lot of key areas. But Gemini Ultra, that's where things get really interesting. It's setting new records, even beating human experts on this massive 57-subject test called MMLU.
Wait, it's beating humans
Mm.
on a 57-subject test. Is this thing for real?
For real. And it's incredibly good at long-form content and understanding context even over massive amounts of text. And we can't forget about little Nano. It's surprisingly powerful for its size, especially in areas like summarization and reading comprehension. Figure 3 in the paper shows how its capabilities stack up to its size. It's pretty amazing.
It's a lot to take in. And it's not
Yes.
just English, right? What about other languages?
Gemini's a polyglot for sure. It excels at translation, particularly from English. It even beats other large language models on languages with limited data available, which is a huge accomplishment. If you want to see its multilingual skills in action, check out Table 5 in the paper. It shows some impressive results in math and summarization tasks.
So we're talking about an AI that can not only understand and translate languages, but actually reason and solve problems across them. Okay, that's impressive. But what about images? Can it really see like we do?
It's more than just seeing, its understanding. We're talking state-of-the-art performance on object recognition, extracting text from complex images, even analyzing charts and graphs.
So it can identify a cat in a photo, but can it tell me what breed it is, how old it might be, or if it's happy based on its expression?
You're on the right track. It's really good at something called multimodal reasoning.
Okay, break that down for me. What does that even mean?
It means Gemini can combine visual information with logic and reasoning. Figure 5 in the paper shows this perfectly. They gave Gemini a complex chart and asked it to rearrange the subplots, and it generated the actual code to do it. It understood the visual information, the instructions, and translated that into a programming language.
Okay, now I'm starting to see how powerful this multimodal approach really is. We've covered understanding text, images, and audio, but what about video? How does Gemini handle moving pictures?
It's really good at things like video captioning and answering questions about a video, even if it's never seen that specific video before. But here's where it gets really cool. Gemini can actually do temporal reasoning across video frames.
Temporal reasoning. In English, please.
It means it understands how actions unfold over time. For example, Figure 23 shows Gemini analyzing a soccer player's technique and suggesting ways to improve. It's not just seeing a series of static images, it's understanding the sequence of movements, the cause and effect.
Wow, that's next level. So we've covered understanding all these forms of data, but what about creating it? Can Gemini generate images too?
Absolutely. And it does it natively.
Natively. So it's
Yeah.
not translating an image into text and then back into an image.
Exactly. It's
Hmm.
working directly with the visual information, which gives much more expressive and nuanced results.
Okay, that's fascinating.
Mm.
So it's like a painter with a brush, not just someone describing a painting. What about audio understanding? Can it make sense of
Yeah.
spoken words as well as it does text?
It's a natural. It does incredibly well on speech recognition and translation benchmarks, even beating specialized models like Whisper in some cases. Table 12 has some really compelling examples. There's one where it actually corrected an error in an audio transcription. It's like it has a super-powered ear for detail.
This is all incredibly impressive, but we've mainly been talking about what's called pre-trained Gemini. The paper also mentions something called post-training. What's that all about?
Excellent point. That's where the fine-tuning happens. They take these pre-trained models and refine them for specific purposes, making them safer, more accurate, more specialized.
So it's like taking this already brilliant AI and sending it to finishing school.
Exactly. It's about making sure these models are actually useful in the real world.
Okay, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Walk me through this post-training process. How does it work?
They break it down into 3 main stages. First, they gather a ton of real-world-like prompts, basically showing the model lots of different examples to learn from. Then they use something called supervised fine-tuning, or SFT, where they train the model on high-quality input-output pairs, showing it the desired responses. And finally, they use reinforcement learning based on human feedback to refine the model's responses even further.
So they're taking this powerful general model and shaping it into something more specialized and reliable. This all sounds almost too good to be true. Surely there are some challenges and concerns with something as powerful as Gemini.
You're absolutely right. We can't just ignore the potential downsides. The next section of the paper actually digs into how Google is tackling these challenges, especially when it comes to responsible AI.
Okay, let's take a deep breath and delve into that next. Things are about to get really interesting.
So with responsible AI, Google's really taking this multi-pronged approach with Gemini. First off, they're doing these impact assessments. It's not just about building something cool, it's about understanding what it could mean for the world, both good and bad.
So they're trying to get ahead of any problems before they happen. What sorts of things are they looking at?
They're analyzing potential risks across all of Gemini's capabilities, from generating biased content to the potential for misuse, really trying to be proactive, not reactive.
That's good to hear. But even with the best intentions, there's always that risk that AI this powerful could be used in ways we haven't even thought of. It's like opening Pandora's box.
It's a valid concern, and that's where those safety policies come in. They're really being strict about how Gemini is developed and used, trying to anticipate those unforeseen consequences.
So they're essentially building in safeguards. What do those actually look like?
It starts with the data. They're being very careful about what they use to train Gemini, making sure it's representative and doesn't have harmful biases. It's like building a house, you need a strong foundation.
That makes sense. So they're building Gemini with good data and responsible guidelines. But even then, how do they actually control something this complex? How do you teach an AI right from wrong?
Well, it's not exactly about teaching right from wrong. It's more about shaping its behavior. They use this thing called supervised fine-tuning, basically giving the model really good examples to learn from. And then there's reinforcement learning based on human feedback. So they're getting experts to help refine Gemini's responses, making them safer and more aligned with our values.
So it's this constant process of training, testing, refining.
Exactly, like training a dog. You need that consistent reinforcement. And just like with a dog, you're never really finished. It's ongoing.
Okay, so they're putting in the work to build these safeguards and refine the model. But how do they know if it's actually working? Are they just trusting Gemini?
That's where the testing comes in. They've got this whole system of internal and external safety evaluations. They look at everything from content safety to potential biases and even dangerous capabilities.
So no pressure, Gemini, but you're being graded pretty hard.
Exactly. They even bring in outside experts to try to break the system,
Yeah.
find vulnerabilities and blind spots. They're trying to be as thorough as possible.
That's reassuring. They're not just building something powerful and hoping for the best. They're being cautious and responsible, which is what we need with something this transformative. But let's shift gears for a second. We've talked a lot about the potential downsides of Gemini. What about the good stuff? Why should we be excited? What makes it so groundbreaking?
The possibilities are pretty amazing when you really think about it. Imagine an AI that can seamlessly understand information from text, images, audio, video, all the ways we experience the world.
Okay, I'm picturing it. It's like a universal translator for all types of data. But what does that mean in the real world?
Think about education. Gemini could completely change personalized learning, creating custom lesson plans tailored to how each student learns best.
So instead of one-size-fits-all education, we could have AI tutors crafting the perfect curriculum for each student. That's pretty amazing. What else?
In healthcare, Gemini could analyze medical images with incredible accuracy, helping doctors with diagnoses and treatment plans. We could catch diseases earlier and treat them more effectively.
Wow, that's huge. What about other areas? Give me some more examples.
Research. Imagine Gemini going through tons of scientific papers, news articles, research data, connecting the dots and finding patterns that would take humans years to uncover. It could lead to faster breakthroughs in every field.
This is starting to sound like something out of Star Trek. A whole new era of discovery and innovation powered by AI.
Exactly. And don't forget about entertainment. Imagine incredibly immersive and interactive experiences that really blur the lines between real and virtual, all powered by AI that understands human expression and emotion.
Okay, now you're talking about changing how we work, learn, play, even connect with each other. This is huge. But with all this potential, there's that question. Is this too much power for one company? Where do we draw the line?
You're right on the money there. The paper even says that Gemini is just the start. It's a powerful tool, but it's up to us to make sure it's used responsibly.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? This incredible potential comes with a lot of responsibility.
Exactly. We need to keep having these conversations, asking these tough questions, and demanding transparency. It's the only way we can make sure everything goes well.
I completely agree.
Hmm.
We can't just hope for the best. We need to be informed and engaged. So before we go too far down that road, let's take a step back and revisit what we've learned about what Gemini can do. So let's do a quick recap for everyone listening. We've been talking about Gemini, Google's new AI model. And it's not just any AI, right?
It's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about an AI that understands information from multiple sources, text, images, audio, video, all at the same time. It's like it has all its senses working together like us.
And it's not just about understanding either. It can generate content too. We're talking writing, translating, analyzing, even creating art.
Yeah,
Maybe even changing how we experience entertainment. It's pretty mind-blowing.
it really is. That's why it's so important to talk about responsible development. Google seems to be taking that seriously, putting a lot of effort into safety measures, ethical guidelines, and constantly evaluating the risks. But it's an ongoing conversation.
Absolutely. We all have a role to play in how this technology develops, what it's used for, and how it's controlled. It's not just up to the companies building it. It's up to all of us.
I couldn't agree more. This isn't just a technological change, it's a societal one. And it's happening now.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Gemini, I think we're left with a sense of awe at what AI can achieve, but also a healthy dose of caution about what it could mean. There's a lot to think about.
Absolutely. Gemini has the potential to change the world. And it's our job to make sure it's for the better.
Well said. And on that note, it's time to wrap up this episode of the Deep Dive. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into Google's Gemini. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world around you.